In this video, we are going to see the concept of bar graphs. Now, very often when you would be looking at the newspapers, you would be seeing charts like this. These are basically called your bars. Then you have things plotted on your x-axis and your y-axis, which depicts some kind of a data. So these are basically the bar graphs, which are represented by various bars. Let us see. The idea behind bar graphs is to enlist two variables in a graphical form so that anyone who looks at that data can, by merely looking at it, understand certain implications out of it. Let's say that you are given the car sales in various years are as under. You are given the sales. Let me put this first as you are given the year and the sales. So let's say you are given 2007, 2008, 9, 10 and 11, and the sales in thousands are 80, 120, 160, 200, 240. Okay? You need to prepare a bar graph. Prepare a bar graph. Just like any other one, again a bar graph would normally have an x-axis and a y-axis. You represent one of the data on the x-axis, which is, let's say, year. So let's say this represents 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11. And let's say the y-axis represents the sales in thousand. Now, the variable that you take on the y-axis is a factor of what kind of a data you have. Let's say in the data that I have, 80 is the smallest and 240 is the highest. And if you notice, the difference between the successive one is around 40. So if I take a gap of, this point always represents 0. So if I take a gap of 20, that will mean 12 lines to be covered. So instead of that, what I do is I take a gap of 40. So I put 40, 80, 120, 160, 200, 240. Okay? And I start plotting the data. So for 2007, I have 80, which is this. So I draw a bar graph for 2007, which cuts from x-axis to point number 80. 2008, it's 120. So you can also write the values here. 120. Then 2009, 160. 2010, 200. You just keep on drawing these graphs across the year with the respective value. 2011, 240. Definitely these are distorted ones. These are not straight. But please understand the concept. So now what I have done is that I have plotted year-wise sales on the x-axis, and then I have the sales number are on the y-axis, and I have drawn graph. Now you must be wondering, this graph is done, now what? Basically, now if you want to retrieve some data, you can look at the graph and you can tell as to what the data is. Let's say the first question, which year had lowest sales? Now you could have found this out from here also, okay, but in a graph it becomes fairly easy. Let me just remove these numbers from here now. Now if you see these graphs, the year, definitely the point to be noted is that the year which has the minimum sales will have the smallest graph. If you see these graphs, which is the smallest one? This, which is 2007. So 2007 had the minimum sale. Second question, which year had maximum sales? The year with the maximum sale would have the biggest graph, right or wrong? Right. This is the one. So the answer is 2011. Then the third is, what is the difference, rather what is the maximum difference between sales of 2 years? Now obviously the maximum difference between sales of 2 years will be the one where it is minimum and where it is maximum. Now assuming you would have plotted the data of 80 and 240 here, you could have very easily found out 240 minus 80 is equal to 160, and the difference is between 2011 and 2007. So similarly, there could be many more number of questions that can be answered using the bar graphs.